Hey everyone, it's Susie McCrae, and I'm just here briefly with some things I've been thinking about. First of all, as you know, there is ONEWS 8 with a survey in the back office, and you have until midnight your time zone to complete that survey. It's very simple yet powerful, simple yet powerful. So I'm going to tell a story, and I promise that I will pull it all together um, at the end. As I was reading once again the story that Ash Mufara put there about making the journey in a vehicle, the vehicle is not doing what it should be doing, and the choice that we have to be in the new vehicle to take us to the same destination, which love, love, love that analogy. It is very simple, concise, and it reminded me of a story. Okay, so back in 1978, I was going for my driver's test. So in the state of Massachusetts, I think it was when you were 16 years old, you could get your learner's permit. So I got my learner's permit. And if you wanted to get your license at 16 and a half, you had to take driver's ed. Well, I didn't take driver's ed. I played three sports. I worked a couple part-time jobs on the weekend. I I chose not to take driver's ed and wait until I turned 17 to take the driver's test. My dad had showed me how to drive and taught me, my siblings, friends. I was a good driver. I passed the test. So we had in our family this big old Chrysler Newport. It was green. We jokingly called it the cheese box. It was this big, long car, almost with fins. I think, yeah, it was a Chrysler New Yorker. Anyhow, that's what I had to do my driver's test in. So you get to bring a parent or an adult with you. So I brought mom, and we went down in the cheese box to the Registry of Motor Vehicles. I had already passed the written test, so now was my driving test. And I knew that this car had trouble, but I had my fingers and toes crossed that I'd get through the driver's test without any trouble. So I was a little stressed. My mom was a little stressed in the back seat. So out comes this big burly officer with the hat on, registry officer. And he had his whole uniform on. Big, big guy. So he opens the car door, he gets in the car, he shuts he shuts the door, and the glove box opens up, the glove compartment opens up onto his knees, and all the stuff falls out. There were like, back then you had maps, there was flashlights, all the stuff comes out. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, something's going wrong already. So I said, I'm sorry. He goes, it's okay. And he's like shoving it, shoving it up, stuffing the stuff back in, and he got it to close. He says to me, okay, before we go, I want you to roll down your window because I want you to use your hand displays, right turn, left turn, slow down, yield, whatever. I said, well, we might have a problem. I said, the window only goes down this much. So, my arm, I said, but if you go outside and you press on it with me, and back then that wasn't electric windows. He goes, never mind, never mind. He was very stern. Never mind. You're going to use your directionals. I said, okay. So I'm off to a great start on my driver's test. I'm looking in the rear view. My mother's back there like this. I have sweaty armpits. I said, okay. So we start pulling out of the parking lot, and he tells me take a right, and there's a little there's a little bump as you leave the parking lot. We go over the bump, boom, the glove compartment opens again on top of this guy. And he's trying to shove it in, shove it, and it wouldn't close. So it just kind of was sitting there on his knees. So I was like, oh my goodness. So I drive down and he's like, take a left on Barrett Street. So I put on my directional, take a left. I go up and he goes, pull the car over to the right. So I put my directional over. I pull it over to the right. Don't hit the curb or anything. I pulled it up perfectly. Now, instead of telling me to do a 3-point turn, which he probably knew there is no way this big old Chrysler is going to do a 3-point turn, he said to me, okay, Suzanne, I want you to have the car facing in the opposite direction. So I kind of was like, phew, no 3-point turn. So I'm looking both ways. My mother's in the back. I can see her in the rearview mirror like this, like, ooh, be careful. So I I pull up and I start and I turn the wheel as far as I can, and it's doing that. And then I turn it the other way. Boom, 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 boom. And as I'm backing up, I see my mother's eyes like wide open in the back as I was getting closer to the curb as I'm turning the car around. And she's just like this with her eyes. And I'm like, you didn't have a backup mirror. We barely had like side mirrors. Turn the car around, the cheese box, the big old Chrysler New Yorker, and get down to the end of the street. He tells me to take a right. I do. He tells me to take a left and back into the parking lot. That was it. That was my driving test. And I thought for sure he was going to, flunk me totally. So we pull back in. He's able to get the glove box closed, turn the car off, and he looked at me and he said, I'm going to pass you. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. He said, if you can drive this car, you can drive any car. So it ended up, we had a good laugh on it. So why am I telling that story? Well, I was thinking about that story when I reread Ash's story about the journey in the vehicle. I didn't have a choice. My choice was the cheese box. We also had a little VW Bug, which was a stick shift. And back then you could not take your driver's class, I believe, or your driver's test in with a stick shift. So I had one choice. The only vehicle I could choose was the cheese box. And that was it. So had someone like on that journey offered me the choice to get into a brand new vehicle that was going to get me to my destination, that was going to get me my driver's license and pass it, I would have the choice was simple. I would have said Yahoo. So my whole point in this is we now have a choice. I did not have the choice back then. We have the choice now. Now, back then, I was nervous. I told you I had the sweaty armpits. I could barely swallow. I was stressed out. My mother was stressed out. It was a very uncomfortable ride. And if I had had a new car where all I had to focus on was just getting there and completing it, it would have been so much better. Okay. And why are we asked about this new vehicle? Because the old vehicle had worn out on us. I'll use other analogies. The mechanics weren't really keeping up with the vehicle. Yeah, it's okay, it's fixed. And glitch after glitch after glitch wasn't fixed. They couldn't be trusted, the mechanics. They were not providing us with a safe ride that was secure, that was legal, that everything was spot on. Now we are asked, that vehicle is done. Are you going to make the choice to get in the new vehicle with the same destination on this journey? And I say, hell yeah. That's what I chose. I didn't have a choice back getting my license, but I'm going to choose that. Once again, this survey is so simple, yet it's powerful. I love that the team put this together. I love that it's we own the survey software or platform or whatever you want to call it. I love all of that about it. So once again, it's your turn. If you haven't, go into the back office, take the survey, read what Ash wrote about the vehicle, answer the survey, and submit it before midnight your time. Okay? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my story and have a great day, everyone. Love you. Mwah.